Bring your ideas. Better yet, bring your photos, and we'll get started right away. And by the way, check this week's big colorful ad for some unbeatable buys like these. Gorgeous African iris, just $3.99. Foxtail fern, only $8.99. And they've got a gigantic selection of easy care drift roses, many colors, just $22.99. By all means, don't miss the Camellia Show Spectacular daily, every day now until April. It's all right now at Bob Wine's Camellia Gardens and Nursery on Southeast 38th Street in Ocala. They're open daily till 4, Saturdays till 3, right there in the same blooming place since 1952.
Now you've done it. Have you lost your mind? He's back. And you're listening again. A legend in his own mind. Don't believe me? Just ask him. Here's Tom Schmitz live on WOCA. The Source.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks on a Wednesday. It's the 2nd of February. Punxsutawney Phil did see his shadow, so he went back. So 6 more weeks of winter in Punxsutawney Phil in Pennsylvania. We ain't getting that here. It is February. That means it's Black History Month. And if you've ever wondered why was February chosen as Black History Month, well, I have the answer. It was primarily done because the second week of the month coincides with two people who are associated with freedoms of Black Americans. The second week of the month, it's the birthdays of both Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. So we know Lincoln was, did the emancipation of slaves through the Emancipation Proclamation. And Frederick Douglass, who was a former slave, was a prominent leader in the abolition movement. They were each born in the second week of February, so it was traditionally a time when African Americans who hold celebrations in honor of emancipation got together. Thus, the week was created. The month was created. President Ford formally recognized Black History Month, but it was Barack Obama, the nation's first Black president, who delivered a message of his own from the White House about Black History Month. And, he said Black History Month shouldn't be treated as though it is somehow separate from our collective American history or somehow just boiled down to a compilation of greatest hits from the March on Washington or from some of our sports heroes. And it's not. It's about people of color who are important to the advancement of the African American community. I always say the first patriot to die for freedom was a black man, Crispus Attucks. That's fact. George Washington Carver, over 180 different things with sweet potatoes, over 300 different things he made with peanuts. Booker T. Washington with the Tuskegee Institute. But my favorite, I guess the one that I always go to when I talk about Black History Month, because of the unselfishness and just the selfless giving and the danger it put this person in on a daily, minute-by-minute basis. When I was a little kid, I watched a Disney version of the Harriet Tubman story. And how she was a runaway slave that then went back numerous times over and over and over into the Deep South to rescue slaves and get them to Canada through the Underground Railroad. It's a woman who suffered from seizures. It's a woman who suffered from a traumatic brain injury from a beating she'd taken from a plantation head while she was a slave. She would have these blackout spells, literally, while she was transporting, getting people through the Underground Railroad. No, she would just pass out. and there was no rhyme or reason to it, and nobody knew how long she would stay unconscious. And she was the only one that knew how to get to where they were going. The trust that had to be bestowed on this woman with all these physical ailments. And the fact that she went, I mean, not once, not twice, but numerous times back into where if she was caught, she would be killed immediately. And I don't care what your color of skin, I don't care what your reasoning for doing it. If you do something over and over and over, knowing that if you get caught doing it, the sentence is death, that's a brave human being. I'll be honest with you. Save for my wife and my sisters, I'm not real sure that I'd do a whole lot to save people if I knew that at any moment I could die doing it. And Harriet Tubman did it over and over and over. I mean, just think, one of those pass-out spells, one of the bounty hunters that are looking for runaway slaves could have come upon her. Dead. That's what would have happened to her. She was hunted. There were slave bounty hunters that wanted to rid the world of her because of the people she was getting from the South up to Canada. She had a price on her head. Didn't stop her. That movie made a very big impact on me when I was a kid. The Harriet Tubman story. But it wasn't her story, really. She was just a part of the bigger story. I think sometimes we don't think about that. See, but when you teach stuff like that, you're teaching history. When you tell people about that, you tell people about history. Then there's no need to have these debates over critical race theory, because we're talking about it already. The atrocities this woman faced in slavery, to where she was beaten so bad that it gave her a traumatic brain injury that caused her to have seizures at a moment with no notice. And yet, still, over and over and over, she went back across enemy lines, in her estimation, enemy lines, to save and rescue and get to safety runaway slaves through the Underground Railroad. That's a wonderful story of commitment by Harriet Tubman. And if you don't understand the historical significance of that, and you don't understand why it's important that we should know about Harriet Tubman and we should know about the great things she did, you're part of the problem. But here's the thing. There are people of all races that are ignorant of people like Harriet Tubman. I don't know how you would be ignorant of Harriet Tubman, but there are people that are ignorant of Harriet Tubman. There are people that are ignorant of George Washington Carver. There are people that don't know about W.E.B. Du Bois or Booker T. Washington, Frederick Douglass, Crispus Attucks, the 54th Infantry, Massachusetts Infantry, depicted in the movie Glory. There are people that are ignorant to those historical groups and people. That's the problem, folks. And Black History Month tries to solve that problem, giving you the opportunity to learn in the month of February about African American history. We'll be right back after this time out. You're listening to 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, WOCA. The Source.
Broadcasting from the Ocala International Airport, this is WOCA AM, W242CA FM, Ocala, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
USA Radio News with Lance Pry.
Defund the police policies throughout the United States continue to have negative effects on law enforcement in this nation.